What's going on, guys? Hey, how are you? Repeat back with you, and this is another broadcast of the NNR Cup Series. Tonight we are live from the Paperclip Martinsville Speedway, right in the heart of Richland, Virginia. Definitely glad to see y'all out there. Thank you very much for coming out, hanging out, keeping us company. It's going to be a phenomenal night. Rick James in the booth, as always, buddy. Great to see you. Great to have you back. These boys are getting out to qualifying right now. How are you, sir?
Pete, I'm so glad to be back with you, my friend. I'm so happy to get this underway. Martinsville, man, the Paperclip, we're going to have so much fun tonight. No Name Racing League is going to give us a great show this evening.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this done. But, Rick, one thing that I always do with these Cup guys, you've seen it before, I try to get our anthem in the best we can, and there's no one else better to get it done than our buddies over at Madison Rising. And it's actually kind of cool because even my wife has subscribed to Dave Bray's YouTube channel. She's been keeping up with him, and she likes it just as much as I do. So Madison Rising, the lead singer of that, kind of went his own way last year, created his own brand. Again, Dave Bray USA. Y'all please stand, remove your hats. Before we set these guys off here, we're going to set off Madison Rising. Let's pay a little tribute. Here we go.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray, and the home of the brave? Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight to remain the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. This land of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land
what better way to kick off end a race week than with the fellas over at Madison Rising? Again, a big thank you to them for allowing NNR to use their version of the national anthem at the onset of every one of these races. But guys, I decided just to use this for the Cup Series, a little something special for the elite of NNR. Although Stout Whiskey will tell you that every single person throughout this community is just about cup worthy. And he'll argue that point with you till he's blue in the face, no doubt. But one more time, big thank you to Madison Rising and Dave Bray. Please go to MadisonRising.com or DaveBrayUSA.com. Show a little extra love. Obviously, with all this COVID crap going on, they can't get out, run those concerts, and do the big venues and all that. Hopefully, if we all can stay somewhat separate, wear your mask, avoid the big groups and all that, we can get back to it, get back to the track, do our meetups and everything else that NNR likes to do. Man, it'd be good to do it again. But man, Rick James, half mile, short track, 27 cars at last count. This is going to be a phenomenal conveyor belt style race. Anybody sticking out for you tonight? But actually, before you answer, I gotta say, we're obviously missing Word Burton tonight. Word Burton actually commentates for an actual hockey team, so that's where he's at tonight. Rock NASCAR, thank you very much for those bits, sir. So yeah, that's where the one and only Word Burton is. He's taking care of a hockey game. But Word, if you go back and watch this later, just know that we were thinking of you. But now, Rick, what do you think about this place? Anybody special stand out to you? I'm ready to get this going. Qualifying's about halfway done already.
Pete, I'm thinking about Boehner, who is streaming for us tonight. Now, Boehner himself, he I wouldn't put him towards the front straight at the beginning of this particular race. However, folks like Boehner, folks like Rowdy are going to be doing their best to get to the front in a hurry. I won't name any specific drivers because, quite frankly, Pete, I wouldn't hedge a bet on any specific pilot this evening. However, one thing I will say is if we open up the Rick James Dictionary of Racing Lingo and go into the P section, you know it already, my friend. Patience at this half-mile concrete conveyor belt will be most important.
Yeah, a whole lot of patience, and we actually, when it comes to short track racing, usually we're talking about the possibility of a whole lot of cautions and things like that. But when we get to Bristol and Martinsville and a couple others, it usually winds up spending more time under the green than we do under the yellow. So I've actually got the green flag up. I'm anticipating a very long, very clean race. There is going to be a little bit of a difference as to where the guys are going to hit their marks, where they're going to get on the brake, where they're going to get back on the gas, and usually it's getting into and off of those corners, and sometimes it can make for some great passing all the way around this place. There's going to be a lot of fast guys out here. CGMX Rose, he's been on a tear. Amore Smoke's been on a tear. You mentioned Boehner. He's going to be streaming right along with Doc Hudson. So there's some people out here that are hungry for a win, and there's a lot of people out here that have already got a win, but they're working on their points lead. It's not like previous years where it's a win and you're in kind of a scenario. The last 6 races of the season are all about the playoffs, but it's not, you've got to stay consistent throughout the year rather than get a win and kind of sit back just a little bit, which when you're a competitive spirit, that's very seldomly the case anyway.
Absolutely, and each one of these drivers have that divine competitive spirit that we all love to see. Drivers like Lucky Dog 385 are going to be right at the top of the field as well, making their way in. You also have Mike Honcho 774, who's a long shot, but anything is possible given the fact that these drivers haven't had a challenge like Martinsville in quite the long time. So space will come at a premium. Obviously, patience will be a virtue here, but at the same time, hitting your marks is what's going to be so important in these corners.
Well, these guys don't have a long time. They've only got about 15 seconds left on that qualifying clock. They're going to work their way back into the lobby, get those last minute instructions. I'm sure they're going to preach that P word, that old patience word, before they set out on track. We're going to find out together who will be on the pole, who's going to take the field to green. Obviously, during their pace lap, I'll go through the field and reintroduce everybody. 27 cars is a long roster for a very short track. In fact, Rick, I think it's the biggest roster that we've seen so far this year. So why not get it done at Martinsville, right?
At a place where space is going to be incredibly important, at a space where drivers are going to be leaning at each other all race long, I couldn't think of a more perfect venue to have 27 drivers.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be it's going to be interesting. There's no doubt about it. Again, a lot of fast guys. Dan the Lawn Man, he actually missed qualifying, so he's going to start in the rear in that 41 Haas Automation Ford Mustang. So it'll be interesting to see him work his way through the field. He has been getting faster and faster and faster as the year has gone on. He's teamed up, even though there's no actual, quote unquote teams this year. He's teamed up to work with the likes of Stout Whiskey and J-Pa, and even J-Pa, he's gotten better this year. The one and only Amore Smoke, which has been phenomenally fast this year, kind of gave him a little bit of a shout out when we were talking the other day about the new Sunday Night League that Unforgotten Shadow started up. It's a 9-week season. The winner at the end with the most points gets 2 tickets to Daytona. So how about that? How about that for an incentive? And when Amore Smoke comes out, J-Pa is the guy that he's going to have to watch out for, alongside with the Aviator and a couple others. That's some pretty high praise.
High praise indeed. And this gauntlet of Martinsville is really going to sort these drivers out, especially given that the points battle is starting to really separate itself at the top. There's drivers like Lucky Duck who constantly wins week in and week out, but they're not necessarily running in these points. You go to these cup standings and you take a look at CGMX Rose, now leading by well over 60 points headed into this round. And what's important is that he has no penalty points yet this year. Drivers like Rose, drivers like Amore Smoke really need to be on their game as well. Of course, Stout Whiskey, Boehner, and Jose, always going to be factors.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm glad that. Well, I shouldn't say glad because I try to be as unbiased as possible. Lucky Dog, 385, our Tuesday night partner. He was actually just turning laps with a bunch of the guys, and he told me flat out, Pete, I don't know what it is that I'm missing. He said it felt like he was turning a brick. But when it comes to the points and all that you were just talking about, guys, here is the website for NNR. It's nnrleague.com. You can go on out there. Take a look at the points, take a look at the rosters. You can watch past races, do anything you want to do. And, of course, there's that one and only Zazzle tab under the store where my buddy Mountain always used to say, you can next time you head to the track, you can rep your NNR red. Why not? Cape, thank you very much for the bit. Absolutely appreciate it. Rock, I know I thank you as well. Cape, if you want to come on up, buddy, you are absolutely welcome. Same thing as last week. We'll definitely call on you, throughout. But definitely appreciate you, everybody. Cape from morethan-a-cape.org, NNR's and several other communities' favorite charity to help those fighting against pediatric cancer. Rick, these guys are all back in the booth. I'm guessing, Boehner, he's getting up, stretching, getting a couple of last-minute turns on that wheel, make sure that it's calibrated just right. These guys are getting ready to go. We're getting ready to go 250 laps. But don't let that deter you when these guys are flying around, about 20 seconds a lap, give or take. They go by very fast.
lightning quick, Pete, and that's kind of the magic of Martinsville Speedway is that we say conveyor belt all the time, but it's quite literally a conveyor belt of cars that occupy this racetrack. They're constantly turning laps, one immediately after the other. And it can get tricky trying to keep a hold of who's leading this race and who's running the fastest laps. So hopefully we manage to not get dizzy this evening, but us and the fans at home are going to have a great time watching what's about to unfold.
Yeah, it's man. Again, 27 cars on a half-mile track, very flat. No banking, concrete and asphalt. The low line is the preferred way to get around, but you're going to see some great runs off the high side, and you're going to see great runs around the bottom as well. And I just got. Oh, there it is. Let's see. I don't like the way they reconfigured all this, but I'm getting in, and I'm going to go ahead and send you your invite right now, sir. There you go, buddy. All right, as you see, everybody up on screen, the good old Fanatec screen. That's the official sponsor, along with, I believe, Coca-Cola this last year, of the NASCAR Heat 4 and Heat 5 Pro League. Speaking of Unforgotten Shadow, there he is out there saying this will be fun. Last night was fun, and I know tonight will be for sure. Shadow's the guy I was just talking about with that new Sunday night race league, Rick. 9 races in the season, and the winner at the end of it, overall points winner, 2 tickets to the Daytona 500. Phenomenal offer.
What a prize, Pete. What a grand prize to go to one of the greatest races on the racing calendar. So the stakes will be high, and you can bet the competition will be even higher.
All right, so here we go. Looks like the one and only Jose 95 is going to have the pole. He'll have the 13-car Lucky Dog to the outside. So much for him turning a brick. 48 of the Aviator with the 22 of J-Pot to his outside. 2-car of the ever-popular Stout Whiskey. 36 of Boehner. Again, we'll be riding along with him. 10-car Cheese back on track with the 00 of Doc Hudson to his outside. We'll also be able to keep up with him. There's the 18 of NNR Rowdy, the 9 of More Smoke. Rick, it seems like the cream continues to rise to the top. 37 of Honestly You're Bad. The 12-car of Knights. 38 of Fatless Dig. 21 of Parsable, My Silent Hunter. 53 of Old Mike Honcho. 47 of Augustus. 4-car Natty Tread. 24 of your series owner, Coey. Then you got the 42 of Siege MX Rose with the 16 in that Fraternal Order of Eagles car, Trippy. Then you got the 88 of Alpha. Looked like he had a quick issue. Actually, no, he was just sending me an invite. So then you got the 41 of Dan the Lawn Man. And Rick, we are back up front with Jose 95. And it looks like they're going to take one more to allow York, Alpha York, to pull back into his spot after he pulled out for a second to send us that invite. Rick, did I lose you, buddy? All right, not quite sure what happened to Rick James. But here we go. 95 for Jose 95. Again, he's going to try to stay as low as possible. Unfortunately, caught a little bit of those bricks on the inside the curve, and that allowed the 13 of Lucky Dog to get to the inside. So now the 13 has the preferred line. 95 is more than likely going to try to fight back right on that outside and maybe try to get a good run on the high side, but no such luck. He actually overshot the corner, and that also allowed the 48 of the Aviator, which is going to be bad fast here all night long, to squeeze on by also. So as I was saying in the beginning, look at this conveyor belt of cars. There's just a huge field all the way behind Boehner. A couple of them right now are too wide. Here's the 10 and the 22. They're side by side right behind them. You got the 18 of Rowdy, and not quite sure who that is to his outside. But I see Fatless Dig back there, Stout Whiskey, and others. Rick, if you can hear me, I can't hear you, sir. Okay, we'll have to check back in with Rick here in a little bit. But again, definitely want to thank everybody out there. Definitely appreciate y'all for coming out, hanging out, and keeping us company. Now, also, if you haven't already seen it, if you're on my Facebook, if you're on my YouTube channel, which is also under Repeat 1975, I am broadcasting through all 3 platforms. That's right, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, all at the same time. So definitely appreciate everybody that's coming here. Those that are watching and just haven't said anything yet, absolutely. I'm glad you're here. Riding along right now with the 18 of Rowdy, with 22 of J-Paw right behind him. Now behind the 18 of Rowdy is going to be that 10 of Cheese, and you see them stacked up 2 wide, 3 or 4 rows deep right behind them. 9 of the ever fast Amore Smoke now to the outside of 37. Looks like he's going to get a pretty good launch up off the corner. Good job by Amore, as now he's closing in to try to lead this second pack. A little bit of a shot to the back bumper, that 22. Anybody out there watching on Facebook, does the stream sound okay? Can you hear the game? Can you hear me all right? How's it all sounding, please? I'm looking for you, Cape. There you are. All right. So, as looking for more than a cape, it will kind of hang out. Not quite sure what happened with Rick's mic or his audio. I'm sure he'll be back in due time. Still kind of going through the field right now, riding along all about mid-pack with the one and only Mike Honcho. Still everybody staying green. Just kind of saw the 21 of Parzival there to the inside. Something happened with him. Not exactly sure what, but that is all right. Kind of going back on through, trying to find the 41. It looks like 22 a little loose there, just as the 42 gets on by. 22 definitely smacked that outside wall. Don't know exactly how much damage he got out of that, but so far, looks like he was able to continue on right behind CGMX Rose, as Rose continues to try to work his way on through the field. But the 41 of Dan the Lawnman, here he is. We just saw the 22 have a little bit of a problem. There he is, just in front of him. Again, saw the 21 of Parzival. 95 of Jose. He was your pole sitter. Right now, it looks like your leader with the 48 of the Aviator right behind him is the 13 of Lucky Dog. So I talked to Lucky Dog in a party just before all this kicked off, and he was having a little bit of a difficulty getting this Geico Camaro to turn. Well, it looks like right now, staying in front of one of arguably the fastest guys in this community, looks like the Aviator's doing just fine with the 36 of Boehner right behind him. Again, we are riding along with Boehner. Let me see. And he's kind of helping out with laps and anything else that may arise. All right, Rick, I got your message, buddy. Thank you very much.
No problem, Pete. Now riding along with Boehner in that third position. Aviator sitting just up ahead in second, and Boehner giving him a little bit of a love tap and trying to bump and run already. Pete, it seems like these top four have really just broken away, and even with 42 laps remaining in this first stage, it's kind of setting the precedent about who's fast now and who's going to be fast later. Jose in that number 95 Portal Camry trailing in a distant fifth, but right now these top four seem more focused on passing each other and not catching up to Lucky Dog.
Yeah, Rick, it's kind of amazing. Lucky Dog, I don't know what he found. Maybe he rubbed that lucky rabbit's foot just before we went green. But to be able to hold off the 48 of the Aviator, 36 of Boehner, the 2 is Stout Whiskey now finds himself sitting in P4, and then our pole sitter of Jose 95 in that Levine Family Gaming 95 sitting in P5 as we're watching the 36 of Boehner now hunting to the inside of the 48 going into the corner.
Aviator trying to hang on to the second position, but the 36 of Boehner manages to get to the inside, and now he's just almost cleared him into one, but Aviator says no, comes down on his door, but Boehner forces the issue, and now Stout Whiskey looking to get a look at third place and take that away from the 48. So second, third, and fourth having a bit of a fight on their own while Jose watches behind, and the leader Lucky Dog pulls away to a 2.5 second margin, 37 laps to go next time by.
I tell you, 48 of the Aviator is very lucky right now that all these guys weren't nose to tail. We've seen in real NASCAR races and here on the game, if you've got that proverbial conveyor belt of cars trying to work underneath you and you can't find that gap to either squeeze down or squeeze up into, it could be very frustrating. And again, that's where your patience word comes into play. You're going to lose spots, but you can really minimize the damage, as it looks like 48 and the 36. 36 thought maybe the 48 wasn't there quite yet, but it turned out he was.
Aviator back into the second position. Your leader is still the 13, but now the 36 of Boehner getting shoved to the outside. Stout Whiskey now takes third position in car number 2, and Jose in the 95 now smells fourth place on the breath of Boehner in the 36. Another lap takes down, and the conveyor belt is in full effect at Martinsville. Kate says there's a little bit of lag out there, and there's a yellow now, Pete. Caution's come out on the track.
Yeah, caution has come out for the first time. Kind of rare for these NNR guys, but again, 27 cars on a half-mile track. It's absolutely bound to happen. So this will be the first chance where everybody's going to be able to come on in, make any kind of adjustments that they can. I would imagine if you're pretty loose, you're going to come down on the pressures by just a little bit, maybe change the wedge. Who was it last night? J.R. Big Dog is actually talking more about adjusting tape in his post-race interview than anything else. So that was kind of interesting. But hey, when you can adjust everything on these cars, whether it's wedge, tire pressure, and tape, you make it all work for you. Rick, we're going to go back green here. 13's a control car.
13's a control car, and he brings us back 2x2, 14 rows deep at the paperclip. What a sight headed into turn number 1. Stout Whiskey second in line in that number 2 PPG Mustang, looking to take second away as Aviator just edges Lucky Dog for first into 3, but it doesn't stick. He sticks to the outside of that concrete line, and now he slots back into second place. Aviator's got a shot at the lead, and he's trying to move Lucky Dog out of the way out of 2. Drag race into 3, Pete.
Yeah, the Aviator was able to make that stick, trying to work my way back up there to him right now. And it was kind of interesting the way that he got that to work. Those are some beautiful Ally colors, by the way. Not only did the 48 work his way on by, but there's a new guy in P2 as well. It's going to be none other than that PPT driver in that 2, Stout Whiskey, putting that 13 back to P3. Now the 36 of Boehner sitting in P4. And I believe it's going to be the 95 trying to hold on for P5 just behind this front four that are now nose to tail.
Indeed it is. Car number 2 in position number 2. Car 13 in position number 3. Boehner sitting in 4th, but now look at Stout trying to find some daylight to the inside of the Aviator, who sends it in deep into 4. Out of the 4th corner, it's a drag race for first. Aviator to the outside. Stout Whiskey will concede the fight and remains in the 2nd position. Chevrolet, Ford, your top 4 out of that 2nd corner. Single file top 5, 6, 7. And then it's a melee beyond them.
Yeah, 13 Lucky Dog giving it to Stout Whiskey, just a little bit of a love tap to that back bumper. Meanwhile, that Stout Whiskey has to check up for just that little bit of a shot. That's allowed the 48 to go ahead and gain just about a car length to a car length and a half over the 2. 2 cars going to try to dive it in. Now 13's giving a little bit of breathing room. 13 not able to dive under. Looking back from the 48, now it looks like about the first top 6 are all nose to tail, or at least on that low line, no double file just yet.
Just about a quarter left. It'll be 24 laps next time they cross the line. 48-13, your top 3. Boehner sits 4th, and that number 10 Smithfield Ford of Cheese rounds out the top 5. CGMX Rose in that 42 sits in 6th position. Pete, he leads the points by a fantastic margin. Right now he's got a 339 to 267 lead. It's a 72-point gap between the 42 of CGMX Rose and 2nd place, Amore Smoke. The gap from 1st to 2nd is larger than the gap from 2nd all the way down to 5th. It is uncanny what Rose has done this season, and with 3 wins so far, he's looking to notch a 4th. Just under 20 laps to go now in stage number 1, Pete. The 42 is climbing.
Yeah, 42, he's been fast no matter what kind of track we've been, whether it's been at a road course or a super speedway, a cookie cutter, or these short tracks. But you're talking about the 9 car of Amore Smoke sitting right now just in front of the 21 of Parsible. And he's driving that Everfeeler Chase Elliott Universe paint scheme that we pushed so hard. And by the way, it's kind of nice knowing that car, or that diecast, was finally given away, and from what Cape said, to a very, very deserving person, somebody that he knew for a long time, then fell out of contact with, and by this person winning that diecast, I guess they've been able to reestablish contact, and that's something that happens here in the community. Different people, different games, different times, different work schedules, different lives, different times with all this COVID. But man, these guys they're doing a phenomenal job. These Cup guys are every bit worth their talent when it comes to this community.
Absolutely, they are. With 18 laps now to go, you can see the talent starting to pull away from the rest of the field. The Aviator in that Petty Earnhardt 48 Ally combo now knocking down another lap, and there's 17 circuits remaining in the opening stage. Stout Whiskey into that number 2 Penske Mustang pulling away from Lucky Dog in 3rd. So each of the top 3 finding their own individual space in the closing laps of stage number 1, while the rest of the field struggles to find any breathing room at all. Boehner now falling down to the 5th position with a hard-charging Jose and Amore Smoke now filling his rearview mirror with 16 laps remaining.
Yeah, looking back from the 48 of the Aviator, just put the 4 car and Natty Dread a lap down. As you mentioned, the 2 cars Stout Whiskey right now sitting in P2 in that PPG Mustang. We're going to continue to work our way back. The 13 of Lucky Dog sitting in P3, and as you just mentioned, Amore Smoke seems like he might have found that other word, Rick, especially when it comes to the short track, that rhythm that it takes to kind of get around here. Lucky Jose 95 gave a little bit of a shot to the back bumper, the 36 of Boehner. Boehner's going to be able to hold on to that position and move on up. But unfortunately, he's moving on up in the wrong direction. 95 is able to get a great run, and now looking to his inside. Not quite. Boehner cut him off at the nose. The more these guys fight, the further ahead the guys in front of them are going to get.
Lucky number 13 laps remaining, and Lucky Dog in the 13 trying to get a bit closer to the 2 of Stout Whiskey, but now the 42 of CGMX Rose, the 3-time winner and points leader, getting up behind that Geico Camaro now with a dozen to go in stage 1. Pretty uneventful to start this race, but a lot of storylines unfolding in this top 5. Meanwhile, lapped cars starting to get trapped behind the leader's blistering pace, and so far, it's still anybody's contest.
Yeah, still very much so. But one person that wants to make sure he's able to stay in that contest is that 88 Planters Peanuts Camaro for Alpha York. Both the leader and P2 have gotten past that Camaro. So far, it looks like he's going to go ahead and pull on up, allowing the 13 Geico Camaro for Lucky Dog, as well as this 42 Credit One Bank Camaro for CGMX Rose to work on by. Alpha York doing the very respectful thing, moving up, getting out of the way, and allowing the leaders to race it out amongst themselves.
Classy move from Alpha York, and the kind of move that you expect to see here on the regular. We keep on mentioning it's just the opening laps of this stage, but he also needs to stay the first car on the first car 1 lap down. Now with 9 laps remaining in stage 1, he'll get the lucky dog, but he cannot concede too much speed or it will be his downfall. 8 to go this time by the 48 car, still leading at a grand margin. In these closing laps, he puts the 24 of NNR Coe a lap down.
Yeah, I think Coe's probably going to want to go ahead and place a points deduction for that one. I'm sure he wanted to stay on the lap, but now he really needs to do everything within his power to stay on the back bumper of this 48. Again, I really love this throwback. It's got a little bit of that petty blue. It's got a little bit of those Earnhardt colors. Always gotta love those black and silver with that 48 number on the door. So again, a tribute to all 3 7-time champs, 48, the 3, and that 43, the only 3 to ever win 7 championships in their career. And with Jimmy Johnson calling it quits after this past season, I tell you what, a long time ago, Jeff Hammond said he didn't think we'd ever see another 7-time champ. I think I gotta kind of echo those words. Out of the current stable, Rick James, I don't see another 7-time champ with the drivers that are in NASCAR right now.
Pete, you're exactly right. From day one, people knew that Jimmy Johnson was going to be something special, and none other than the great Jeff Gordon ended up discovering Jimmy Johnson from a little town called El Cajon, California. It's been a privilege as a fan. Growing up as a Jeff Gordon fan, it was a true privilege watching Jimmy Johnson from his very first day all the way to the end of his career. I can't think of another athlete so successful that I've been able to watch from the beginning to the very end. So you look back and you think to yourself, what happened in these last 20, almost 30 years? Some action in the back here. The 42 gets into the wall coming up to the final lap in stage 1, but drivers like Jimmy Johnson and like Dale Earnhardt, like Richard Petty, they define a generation of the racing fan. And certainly for the rest of time, if there is another 7-time champion, it won't be another champion like Jimmy Johnson.
No, no other 7-time champ won 5 championships in a row. You could say, it was just the era or whatever. But you know what? Each of those other 2 7-time champions, talking about Dale Sr. and Richard Petty, they did it in their era when times were just as hard as they were in this time. Back then, were they able to cheat and do a couple things that weren't quite in the NASCAR rulebook? Yes and no. But man, either way, they got it done, and they outsmarted their competition. Rick James, that is the end of stage number 1. Only one single caution. Ladies and gents out there, we're going to take a quick break rather. Y'all want to know how to follow NNR? Take a look at this, and then we will be right back.
Hey NNR fans, don't miss any of the action by following or subscribing to Repeat's Twitch channel. Turn on notifications and you'll always know when the best preset league on Xbox hits the track. Check out his YouTube channel too to see all of NNR's past races. Follow No Name Racing as well as Repeat 1975 and others on Twitter, and you'll never miss any of the action.
All right, Rick, we are back, and as always, you don't miss anything anytime we take a quick commercial break. Looks like the 43 of the Aviator is not going to miss a beat. We got the 2-car Stout Whiskey to his outside, 13 of Lucky Dog, the 10 of Cheese, showing a very, very strong car tonight, followed by the 36 of, that's going to be your top 5 with a more smoke right there, P6.
Aviator leads. He's got Stout Whiskey in the second position, and he will lead the first lap. 48-2-13 Chevy, Ford Chevy out of the second corner. Single file top 5, but then there's still 2x2 just like the restart. 48 starting to pull away again. That 13 of Lucky Dog wants to reclaim what's his, but don't forget about the monkey in the middle. Stout Whiskey now coming to the inside. Drag racing for first.
Yeah, Stout Whiskey's going to really be on that low line. A little bit of a shot there to the 48's quarter panel. Could this be the first lap that PPG Mustang will lead? 48 right now, fighting hard, back pretty hard on that outside. There we go, get it out one of these days. 2 cars still down low, 48 right there, 13 watching on. I think that was the 2 cars lap to lead. Here comes again, 48 charging hard to that outside. 13 still watching on, hoping maybe these guys will mix it up just a little bit. But now it looks like the 2's got the launch off the corner, clearing the 48. New leader, 2 cars, Stout Whiskey.
2:48.13, your new order at the paperclip. Stout Whiskey leading his first laps today. Cheese in the 4th position, Boehner in 5th, and it's single file for the top 7 out of the second corner. That PPG Mustang now at the point of this race, but the Aviator in the 7-time tribute still close in second, but the gap grows to the Mustang ahead. Lucky Dog, what can 15 minutes do for you? We did those 15 minutes in pit road during the stage break give him a chance to tune up his car for a fighting chance at first again. Single file all the way through these leaders and then some, Pete. A calm start to stage 2.
Very calm. It seems like they got single file very, very quick. Kind of surprising. And now everybody's somewhat content riding along right now with that 10 of Cheese to just run single file. Rick, there's a whole lot of laps yet left to run. Again, we're only in the very, very beginning, rather, of stage number 2. Let me go ahead and throw that up there for you guys, for anybody new coming in or whatever. Yeah, just within the first 10 or so of stage number 2. Stout Whiskey leading, I believe, for the first time at a short. No, I'm sure he led at Bristol, and I don't remember where he or how he did last season at Martinsville. But so far, it looks like he's got something for the rest of this field.
He certainly does, and it's been a fight up at the front, but now here comes Aviator in that 48, back to the point, but Stout Whiskey doesn't go without a fight. Here comes the Gecko now to the inside of the PPG car, and Boehner's looking to take third from that Penske Mustang into 1. 48, 13, 36 on the inside line. No help from the 2, but he'll have a bit of respite, and he'll slot in front of the 10-car Cheese, rounding out the top 5. Jose 6, CGM 7, Amore 8, but now out of 4 and leading once again, Aviator in car 48.
Yeah, car 48 looking very, very strong. We both know Jimmy Johnson won a ton of races right here at Martinsville, so kind of taking a play right out of the book of the 48. Why not carry on that tradition as 13 Lucky Dog gives that 36 of Boehner a little bit of a love tap to that back bumper. Going to try to move on up. Stout Whiskey's watching on just as the 13 was earlier when the 48 and the 2 were duking it out. Now the 10, 95, 42, and one other rounding out your top 6, all nose to tail. Stout's not content running behind that 13 though.
13 tags the wall out of turn number 4, so he takes the advantage. Jose in the 95, the highest ranked Toyota, gives a full send into 1 and gets to the inside of Cheese. Jose now in the 6th position, chasing down Lucky Dog, but how lucky will he be? Now out of the 4th corner, it's a 1-second lead from Aviator back to Boehner in the 36 with 48 laps to go in stage 2. Car 48 still leading this race, and just somehow since that caution, the Aviator has pulled away with great style. Cheese, fallen back through the order, now has a more smoke behind him. But most of these drivers, Pete, content to run single file as opposed to stage one, which was a lot of side-by-side mayhem through the order. Perhaps the drivers have settled in for a long run.
Well, we started off with 250 laps, as you just said, 48 left to run here. Well, a couple laps ago, 48 left to run. That goes to show how fast they're putting down these lap times. Cheese right in front of the 9 of Amore Smoke. Amore very, very methodically picking his way on up through the field, but that 10 really doesn't. I don't see him making any kind of mistake. He's very, very smooth on the brake, getting into the corner, very smooth getting on that gas pedal to come off. And if he's able to stay in front of that 9, where the 9's not really having to use the bumper, he's content with the speed that Cheese has been running. He knows that he's making up time on the 95. It's not going to be long before that 9 is up towards a little bit further towards the front.
He's marching his way through that field. A couple of these drivers, like the 4 of Natty Dread and the 88 of Alpha York, already gone a lap down, but they have pitted during that stage break and now have fresh tires to tear their way through this field once again. Jose in that 95 has lost a little bit of the draft back to the 42 of CGMX Rose, who's now hounding down that 13 of Lucky Dog. Those two cars, 4th, 5th, respectively. Jose rounding out your top 6. But now as another lap falls off, Lucky Dog in 4th, chasing down the 2 of Stout Whiskey in 3rd. Aviator still leads.
Yeah, Aviator's still up there, pulling further and further away from the 2 cars. Stout Whiskey. Stout led a couple laps. Now 13 still, kind of riding right there behind that PPG Mustang with the 42, sitting right behind him. Shadilak, good to see you out there in chat, buddy. Hope you're well tonight. Shad had a pretty eventful truck race the other night, as well as an iRacing truck race on Monday night as well. Got up inside the top 5, was very much in contention with the with the fastest guys in the lobby or in the session, whatever it's called on iRacing. So Shad's another guy that's not only good here on Heat, but good elsewhere as well. He definitely does him and his brother pretty proud when it comes to that Heat 5 series.
Proud indeed, and fans of Aviator will be proud. He leads now with 38 laps to go. Boehner in 2nd, Stout Whiskey 3rd, Lucky Dog 4th, and CGMX Rose rounding out the top 5. It's over 1.5 seconds between the leader and 5th place, who just slammed the wall. Jose in 6th, and the train goes on back from there. Pete, with this long green flag run, pit stops will be coming sooner rather than later. What kind of strategy do you think we could see on pit road? Is there anybody that will take limited fuel and 2 tires?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're going to want to keep this car as light as possible, but still grab those 4 Eagle Feel Goods, as it looks like 32 of NNR Drake was around right there. I don't know if he collected anybody as we continue to stay green. I'm going to think not, unless Coe decides to call a manual caution. But I think Drake was able to grab and get up and get going under these Martinsville lights. Rick, man, phenomenal job by all these guys, still working their way through the field. I mentioned earlier that the 41 of Dan the Lawnman had to start tail end Charlie. He's been able to work his way in front of that 22 of J-Pa, getting closer and closer to that top 10.
The 9 just went around in turn 3. He got tagged by the 47 of Augustus, and that 9 car gets going once again. Not sure what happened to the 9 of Amore Smoke, but now he is back under his own power, and the gap to 1st has now closed. Pete, Boehner is getting a bit closer to that 48 of the Aviator, and I'm wondering now if the Aviator has either taken notice or he's just let off the gas, but he is still chasing down cars and putting them a lap down one at a time. Right now, that's the red number 4 of Natty Dread, who's about to get overtaken by the leader.
Yeah, Natty Dread and that 4 Mobile 1 machine going another lap down. Unfortunately, there's a couple cars out here that are really struggling. The 4 car, the 88 car, Alpha York has been on and off pit road several times, just has not been able to get the feel that he's looking for and that he needs in order to get that 88 to rotate. Or it's rotating too much, and when he's getting back on the throttle, it's just coming around on him. So he's doing the right thing. He's gone several laps down, but again, he's gone down pit road, tried multiple adjustments. Got to be tires, got to be wets, got to be tape, whatever the case may be. But he's doing the right thing, staying out of the way, and at the same time, trying to get that 88 Peanut stock, Mr. Peanut Camaro better for the long haul.
Pete, it looks like that 88 Flanders Camaro has now just been planted, and he's sat there in pit road. It looks like he's retired now, and it's a shame that he won't be finishing this competition. Aviator still leading here at the front. He's now chasing down that 00. That Buckshot just gotten into the car, and J-Paw up ahead. Meanwhile, Boehner is still chasing him down right before the cycle of green flag pit stops.
Ladies and gentlemen, just before Rick James talking to you all about Boehner and everything else that's going on there on the track, you heard another voice here in the booth. That is going to be none other than More Than a Cape of morethanAcape.org. Again, it's the one charity that many communities here on Heat 4 and Heat 5 rally around. It's all about pediatric cancer and helping the families that are dealing with a loved one while they're at several fine institutions around the country. Cape, how are you, sir? What's going on, buddy?
Well, I'm doing better than I deserve, my friend. Just watching the 9 car. I believe we started off our green flag stops here. One thing I'm really noticing is that the 48's taking a low line in the corner, kind of arcing it around the corner and then diving back low. Rick, Pete, the one thing I want to know is when they transition from that concrete to the asphalt, does it hurt that overturn, or does it help your understeer, or what are you guys thinking?
Well, Rick, I would imagine that since it's still on the concrete, that's going to be a little bit more slick under power. So that's probably why we see those guys that, the right rear's getting worn, the fuel is burning off, the car's getting lighter. That's usually where people are more likely, unless they got that egg under the throttle pedal, that they loop it around or get very loose and go on and tag that inside wall. And going into the corner also on the concrete, if they've got to tap that brake just to kind of set the nose, it's where they're more than likely to slide that right front just a little bit. Rick, what do you think?
I don't think the game's that sophisticated, Pete, truth be told. I don't think that they've really put in different grips on different parts of the racetrack. What I do feel, however, is that drivers are turning the wheel at different rates, and regardless, it's the psychology of where you think you need to turn the car. If a driver thinks that the car is going to shoot out towards the wall, they'll give it more wheel out of 4, and obviously that's going to put in some more oversteer. The car can be loose out of the corner, but it also depends on the entrance trajectory as well and how fresh the tires are. Each driver is a little bit different. Each driver manages worn tires differently, and that's what makes Martinsville so challenging when it comes to right before and right after pit stops. Because space is so limited, drivers really need to be careful and have the mutual trust that they're going to drive their car as clean as possible through this circuit.
There you go, Cape. A couple different, very different, but man, that just goes to show, just like these guys out here on the track, everybody's going to attack a track just a little bit differently. They might have somewhat of the same throttle and gas point, or throttle and brake points, but they're going to have just a slight quarter pound off on tire pressure, maybe a little bit less in the left rear, a little more in the right rear, or vice versa. And what they do up front, the degree of tape, I mean, it can be all over the place. So yeah, everybody's got their own way of thinking about all this. So Rick James been caution free since stage 2 went into the books. Still kind of riding along with both Boehner and Doc Hudson, keeping up with laps and fuel and all that. As Kate pointed out, the 9 of Amore Smoke came down pit road just after the 88 of Alpha York. Now just 18 laps remaining. 48 still got everybody right where he wants them.
It's been a great drive for the 48 of the Aviator, and I almost feel sorry that I didn't pick him to begin this race. Kobe goes another lap down as Aviator overtakes him into turn number 1, and cars are still moving at speed, as you called it now, with 17 coming to 16 laps to go. However, he's not by himself. CGMX Rose, our 3-time winner this season, has now entered the fray, and he sits now less than a second behind our race leader with 15 and 1/2 laps left. Pete, I'm wondering if Aviator is sandbagging towards the end or if Rose has the stuff to get the stage win.
I tell you what, I know Aviator's fast. I remember last season he was absolutely able to get the job done. But as you just said, that 42 is hunting and big time. You know, we were talking a little bit ago about the 41 of Dan the Lawn Man, how he had to start all the way in the back. He actually just got put a lap down, and he was up inside. I thought he was up inside or very, very close to the top 10. But he not only put the 41 a lap down, it just looks like the Fraternal Order of Eagles 16 also just got put a lap down. Now here comes the 37. So this 48 is now getting into some very heavy traffic. That goes to show the kind of lap times he's still putting down.
The Aviator is flying through this field right now. He has pinned his ears back, and that free safety is running from the left side of the field to the right side of the field, and nobody is going to be able to turn on the jets and beat him easily. However, CGMX Rose is going to try. Now less than 15 laps remaining. I believe we're around that lucky number 13 mark, and that 42 of Rose gets ever closer. It's a dozen laps left, 11 to go at the line, and here comes the 42.
Yeah, 42 also getting on by that 37. Bama Traffic, good to see you out there in chat. Hope you're well. It's been a great race so far. Only one caution during stage 1. We are coming to the closing laps of stage number 2. Glad you're here with us, man.
Closing laps of stage 2, and we're coming to a 10 laps left. Now that 42 has to get around the 47 of Augustus, headed into 1 and to the outside of the 4, and that may have bought Aviator the necessary time. 9 to go at the line, and the gap has now increased to well over a second, and the 42 struggling to get off the corner. It's been a masterclass by the 48 so far. These lapped cars would have posed a threat to a lesser driver, but this 48 has been cleaning house.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Cape, this guy, the 48 of the Aviator, he's got a lot of clean track now in front of him. Still riding along with the 42 Credit One Camaro for CGMX Rose, driving his Pro League car since he was picked by Chip Ganassi Gaming. But the 48's got a whole lot of clean track. I think he'll actually be able to finish this out without coming to the back bumper of another car, having to worry about where they're going to be or having to battle with that person before the end of this stage. Next time Boehner or Doc Hudson come on by the start stripe, we'll get a lap count, and there we go. 7 laps remaining. The 48's got a pretty good pace, but Cape, I don't think the 42's got what it takes in order to get up there to try to steal max stage points from the 48.
I don't think he does either, Pete. Just watching the 42, he's consistently smooth, but I think the real telltale sign is going to be in stage 3 if he stays in that first row, or even on the second row. He's not going to have to fight as hard to get back to P2 and run him down. I just think the 42 uses stuff up getting through the field, and that's going to be the ultimate deciding factor, which he's closing on him again. So we may see a battle for the lead before the end of the stage.
CGMX Roach has tagged the wall with that right rear just a little bit, Rick. Just again, another thing to slow him down. But it looks like 48 had a hard time getting under brake into 3 and 4 that time. Really had to kind of diamond it out. Or maybe he's seen that the 42 was doing that and said, you know what, if he's gaining just a little bit of time on me, maybe I need to do that as well. Really wash up in the middle, come down and get the throttle back down, kind of straighten out the second half of the curve to make all the horsepower you can coming off.
48 is going to have to keep the concentration in these last two circulations. It will be just 1 mile remaining next time across the line, and it's been a great stage 1 and a great stage 2. The 42 and the 13 of Rose and Lucky Dog respectively, the only two cars that are really within any shout of taking down Aviator, but he just needs to hang on for one more lap and a half in stage number 2. He can get that Martinsville hot dog and then focus on stage 3.
Yeah, coming up to the 24 of Coey. Coey's definitely going to want to keep on the I think he's still one lap down. 48's going to go ahead and duck on by. 24 of Coey's going to go up high and allow the leader to go. 42 CMX Rose pulls to the inside of that Liberty Camaro on by. First and second closer than they've been. 48's got the power coming down, able to keep it off the wall. Stage 2 is now in the books.
Great stage, great run for the Aviator. That is 2 stages, 2 wins, and he's got a chance to drive for the cycle.
Yes, he does. Definitely going to have a very, very good chance to do just that. All right, guys, we're going to take one more quick commercial break. And, yeah, see, y'all want to go to NNRleague.com, take a look at that Zazzle tab, talking about the mugs, the hoodies, the T-shirts, the polos, and all that. Well, yeah, let's take a look at them together.
Hey NNR fans, are you looking for a way to rep your favorite NASCAR Heat preset league on Xbox Live? Look no further. Just go to NNRleague.com, scroll down to the Zazzle tab, and see what we have to offer. From t-shirts to hoodies to clocks, we have everything you need to show your support. Thanks for being the best fans, and we hope to see you at the track repping that NNR red.
All right, guys, as always, anytime we take that quick break, you don't miss a thing. Riding along right now with that 13 of Lucky Dog. Right in front of him, he's got the 48 of the Aviator, 42 of CGMX Rose, 2 is outside, it's a 2 of Stout Whiskey, and in P5, the 95 of Jose 95, I believe. I could be wrong, but top 5 going to try to get sorted out behind them, Rick James. Many, many cars double wide.
116 at the line, 48, 42, 13, your top 3. Stout Whiskey 4, Boehner 5th as they come across the line. Chevrolet, 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 your top 3. 2 Fords, 4th and 5th. Aviator still leads CGMX Rose, leading the points by 72 digits and trying to get his 4th win of the season, while Aviator has yet to grab his 1st. Boehner holding up a bit of the traffic in the top 3, now breaks away with 115 laps to go.
Man, I tell you, Cape, this 48's got Do It Right on the quarter panels in those Dale Senior colors. Obviously, Dale did it right, Richard Petty did it right, and Timmy Johnson did it right, but also the Aviator's doing it. He led the most laps in stage number 2, but at the end of that, the 42 was getting closer and closer. How long do you think it'll be before this Credit One Camaro cashes out and is able to walk on by that 48?
Honestly, I think it'll be in about 3 to 5 laps. Pete, he's right there. He's hanging with him, and you got to remember, Lucky Dog is lurking in the 3rd spot. I think he's just waiting for these guys to make a mistake or possibly use their stuff up, because he was coming on strong in that stage as well, and he may be just conserving a little bit of tire to make himself better on that long run.
Well, riding along right now with the 2-car Stout Whiskey, Rick James. He's got 36 of Boehner in front of him, and then, of course, your top 3, 48, 42, 13. And then, yeah, our buddy Boehner that's helping us out with laps and all that. Top 5 getting a little bit more spread out than they were this time in the last stage. Stout's got a little bit of room back to P6. Everybody else behind them all in line in this very large conveyor belt.
New stage, same old story, 48, 42, 13, your top 3, but this time Aviator's not able to pull away from Rose. Lucky Dog sitting in the 3rd spot, chasing down that 42, coming through that 3rd corner. Boehner starting to close the gap to the top 5, and now cars finally spreading out single file except for a couple of stragglers in the back. So it will be a war of the green flag pit stops, barring any late race cautions, but these drivers seem to have their hot rods under control. Just a couple of guys going high. Boehner in that 36 getting shoved out of the way by Stout Whiskey, so you can see they're trying their hardest, but the patience game, the biding their time game is what's happening at this moment. The 42 of Rose just riding along behind the 48, looking for an opening, studying his moves, trying to plan a pass in the future.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, CTMX Rose was better on the long run. That's really where he started to catch the 48 than anybody else. I didn't catch to see exactly how many cars were left on the lead lap when all was said and done, and everything was tallied up at the end of stage number 2. Right now, top 3 continuing to pull away. Stout Whiskey leading that second pack of 3, just about 7 to 10 car lengths behind our top drivers. And we're going to kind of walk our way through the field here just a little bit and see where everybody else's favorites are at. Again, everybody out there in chat, whether you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, or on Twitch, definitely want to thank you to the NNR Cup Series live from Martinsville Speedway under the lights, the only series that actually had that option to do so. It's been a phenomenal race so far. Please, by all means, keep it right here. The racing is going to get better. As you've seen, it's getting tighter, and still just about 100 laps to go. You figure about 20 seconds a clip. These guys are going to get it done in no time. You're not going to want to miss a thing. Cape, this 10 car, geez, really dueling it out with the 95 of Jose. Say what?
We got a lead change there, 42 P1. He just set him up going into the corner and just beautifully pulled out from under him and swept it out of the corner.
Alrighty, well, I'll have to swing on through, but Rick, there's battles all over the track now.
It's starting to heat up now, Pete, as Cape just called it. 42 leads, 48 in second place, and the 48 sends it high. Lucky Dog now getting to the inside of the 48. Could Aviator have fallen off? Is he just trying to draft behind some opponents? We'll have to see what he's thinking about in that third position. But 42 back at the front as they catch up to some lapped traffic here. And you mentioned it, battles all over the place. Jose with Cheese to his inside, those two drag racing into that third position now. Stout Whiskey trying to hold off Boehner in that 36 car. 10 and the 95 still side by side. Meanwhile, you've got a very, very tight pack of cars. The 18 and the 9 of more smoke and Rowdy nose to tail fighting for position, and the 12 car of Knights involved in that one also. A lot of action all over the place in these final 100 or so laps.
Now, Rick, I'm still kind of watching this 42. Later in the stages, he was really diamonding out the corner. I remember Ryan Newman was the first driver that I can remember really showing that at a track like here, or at a track like Dover, or some of these other places. And it seems to really be working. He's absolutely left the 48 and the 13. It just seems like he's able to get that throttle down a little bit better because he's got that apex in the middle rather than riding the curve all the way around, as I'm going to make a liar out of me right now, but riding the curve all the way around and having to really squeeze that throttle gently, where if he's up higher, he can stab it and get back going quicker.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that's Rose's strategy at the moment. He crosses the line one more time in the first position. He's got now with 97 laps to go, according to Boehner's lap count here. He's leading by well over 2 seconds, but you mentioned the long run car. Is he switching up the strategy, hoping for a caution? We'll have to see, but now with less than 100 laps to go, green flag pit stops are not that far away. And I want to ask Cape myself, Cape, what chances could we have, and where can a driver employ pit strategy, or maybe even a short pit?
It really just, it's hard to save gas at Martinsville. I couldn't do it. I'm not that talented. But the thing I'm thinking is maybe Dan and Aviator have fallen back a little bit to maybe save a little bit of fuel, extend that run, and not have to take as much fuel on their last pit stop. that's really the only thing I can think of. If you're using the clutch, you can pop it in neutral and your RPMs go way down to 0, and you can save a few laps of fuel. But I don't see how anybody could do it and still be competitive.
Absolutely not. And Pete, that's exactly what this is going to be about, because these drivers are out here fighting this long run game. Where is going to be the most competitive strategy? Myself as a fan, I'm incredibly curious to see how this is going to turn out.
Yeah, like you said, 93 laps now. I think that's what that said. Left here in stage number 3. Everybody will have to make at least one green flag pit stop. If that yellow should happen to fly, we'll have to see. But like I mentioned earlier, yeah, you're going to take 4 tires, and if you can take a can and a half in order to make it to the end with the green flag look that this race has had, you're not going to want to put any extra weight in that car. 36 of Boehner kind of moves that 00 old buckshot, as you mentioned earlier. I used to call it that all the time, and then Boehner started teasing me about it. That's a 00 of Augustus. Kind of moved him on up out of the way. I'm sure right now in team comms, he is passing along a huge apology, but this Select Blinds Mustang is definitely on the move. But yeah, Rick, back to your question. Yeah, you're going to want to keep that car as light as possible, all while having 4 brand new Eagle Feel Goods to maximize that grip. You want to feel like Superman, just like old Jimmy Johnson, all the way around this place.
Now the question has to be asked, at what point do you say it's too late to put on tires? If you can feel like Superman on 4 Eagles, what is going to be that cutoff line where a driver says, it doesn't matter how fast I can fly, I'm not getting back up to the front, losing this much track position? And one more thing, Buckshot is a great nickname. All back to Buckshot Jones, the driver from Monticello, Georgia.
Wow, man, I tell you what, you have a mind like a steel trap. When we were talking the other day about all the stuff that I recently purchased, you were rattling off names and numbers, dates and tracks and all that. Buddy, man, I commend the powers of retention that you have. But yeah, absolutely right. I actually used to have a hat that I found in, I think it was like a thrift store or something like that, that had a old Buckshot signature on it. I still have it. So yeah, right there with you, man.
Was that the black hat that had the Aqua Fresh stripes going across the front?
You yeah, absolutely. But Rick, to answer your, God, you're good. To answer when, I would honestly say right as you get to your fuel window. If you don't think you're going to be able to get further up through the field, you're going to want to be on those newer tires earliest. That way you've got that lap time capability before everybody else. Yeah, your tires are going to wear off first, but if you've got a fast car, you're in the top 10, you need those overall stage points when the stage completes and this race is done. I think that's really where you got to go on down and maximize any possibility that you got.
Oh, absolutely. Master Killer in the chat says 25, 30 laps to go. And if you're a driver, let's say like Aviator or Lucky Dog or Stout Whiskey, who's now gotten around that 48 car. Aviator, by the way, now finds himself in 4th. Kind of peculiar, but still lots of race to go. If you're one of those drivers that have been in the top 5 all day, I would agree with Master Killer, 25, 30 laps to go. But if you're, for example, Cheese, Jose, More Smoke, Rowdy, drivers that have been outside the top 5 and not struggling but could be doing better, I think you're going to need more time, and you're possibly going to need to gamble to break into this elite echelon of drivers who have been commanding this race so far. It's now 81 laps to go. The 42 of CGMX Rose still leading this race. Aviator and Stout Whiskey now nose to tail for 3rd and 4th, respectively.
I called the 00. That was Augustus's old number. That's actually Doc Hudson now. I won't get that wrong again. Yeah, Augustus is actually driving that 47 machine around this paperclip. As you see, the 18 of Rowdy and the 12 of Knights now underneath him. Rowdy got I don't know if he got sent up high or just hit the brakes a little bit later, or maybe he just saw Knights coming and say, you know what, man, you are faster. Go right ahead. If you can get up to the 22 at J-Pot or further, I'll be right on your bumper. Maybe we can work on by at the same time. Rowdy makes a little bit of contact with the curb. 12, well, Knights still right ahead of him.
Knights now leading 78 laps to go. Cheese now knocking on Boehner's back door, trying to get on his outside out of turn number 2. He'll possibly try to take him on the inside going into 3. Sends it in deep in that 10 of Cheese, now trying hard to stay on that position. The 42 of CGMX Rose still leads now with 76 circuits remaining at Martinsville, but for how long? Pit stops are still coming. Master Killer says 25 or 30 to go, so from here, it's still a 2-stop strategy. But Kate, I'll put the question to you. Is there any chance you take 2 tires here with 2 stops to go?
I don't see it. Tires are so important. This track eats tires. It's notorious. Just watching Rose, he is setting a blazing pace right now. I mean, he's the quickest car on the track, and he has put almost a half a speedway ahead of the 13 of Lucky Dog. And unless we see a yellow flag and there's maybe 20 laps to go, I don't see any way they do 2 tires.
Rick, cut out. Sorry, buddy. What'd you say?
Oh, no, to you, Pete, the question about tires. Personally, I agree with Cape. I don't see anybody gambling on 2 tires here, but with Rose pulling away in such a fast style here, I'm thinking, are his tires burning at a faster rate than that of his competition, and what will that do to his pit stop strategy? Will he have to pit early? Is he gambling on a caution?
Well, I mean, guys, this race has gone green for the majority. NNR is not known for their cautions whatsoever. We had a quick caution in stage 1, but ever since then it has been all green. And as they stay green, the field is getting further and further spread out. If you're a driver in this series, you know what you and what your competition is really good at or what they're going to do. I would say you pit when you've gotta, and again maximize the time that you've got on fresh rubber and work your way through the field. I would personally do it once that fuel window opened up and try to make that time up. 48 of the Avian coming up right behind the back end of that 22 of J-Pot, that Shell Pennzoil Mustang. In front of him, he's got 2-car Stout Whiskey, and then, yes, there is that 47 of the one and only Augustus.
Crossing the line, the 48 car getting around J-Paw, coming up to the back of Stout Whiskey, trying to take the position. It could have been that the 48 has been sandbagging this whole time, but now the 2 of Stout Whiskey lets off very early, headed into 3, almost to give the Aviator space to set him up for a pass. Jose now moving into the 6th position, with Stout Whiskey now in position number 5. You've got Boehner sitting in the 7th position in the 36, and these 2 trapped behind lapped cars trying to make their way through this field. Back at the point, the 42 leading this race, and a couple of cars starting to come down pit road. So pit stops are here, and now it's a question of not if, but when.
Well, I tell you what, Master Killer seems like he was right on the money, and I would imagine this is where everybody's going to go ahead and grab it. Now, if you got in and you ran a full race during practice and you did everything you possibly could, you calculated the laps and what you're getting on fuel and all that, it could very well be, hey, you know what, I practiced just right side tires. I know my left sides are good to make it all the way, but we've seen what happens when these cars lighter and what do you know? Here is that caution, guys.
Wow.
It looked like the 37 and the 18 was having some bad blood there, Pete, Rick, and it just it bowled over. The 37 kind of bumpered him in the corner, and then the 18 door checked him. So tempers definitely flare at Martinsville, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, I'm a very patient man, but in the truck race, it got the best of me on Tuesday night. So
yeah. Rick, do you remember Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth a few years ago at this place?
One of the moments for the ages, and I believe the famous line from Matt Kenseth at the end was, "My foot slipped," or he lost the brakes headed into turn number 1. One of those moments, I think back to 2001, where Tony Stewart spun around Jeff Gordon in the pit road at Bristol after a race, but nothing compares to Matt Kenseth giving it a full send into 1 as we go back to racing here.
Yeah, going back to racing, 42 CGMX Rose, 13 of Lucky Dog, 48 Ally Do It Right Camaro for the Aviator, 2-car Stout Whiskey, 36 of Boehner. That's going to be your top 5. But yeah, More Than a Cape did not agree with T-Glass and one other guy during Tuesday night's truck racing. Cape let it be known he was not happy, and he went full send on T-Glass with about 10 to 15 laps to go, give take, and yeah, displeasure was definitely expressed.
yeah, and
Displeasure expressed. Sorry, Cape, go ahead.
I apologized afterwards because I'm the type of person where if you bump me, okay, I see you're behind me, I'm gonna let you go. If you're the leader and you're coming in the corner after me, when I go on the straight, I'm gonna let you go. Just don't keep bumping me and move me up the corner, and put me in the wall pretty much. But it's to me, and Rick, that was actually 3 and 4 at Martinsville. I was sitting in turn 4 when that happened, and Matt Kenseth gained about 50,000 fans that day.
Yep. That was man. That was a lot of fun, Rick James. Sorry, sir. Didn't mean to cut you off this time.
Oh, not at all. I think we're just so eager about that moment. It's one of those "where were you when" moments. Just a fantastic moment. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That was or was not the Jeff Gordon's final win. The famous line being, "We're going to Homestead."
That was the final win for Jeff Gordon because the entire day of that race, it missed rain that morning. It was just misting and light rain, and then they finally got the track dry, and it started getting dark, and everybody thought they were going to call the race, and Jeff won that race and went on to Homestead. So,
no, and personally, as it's no secret to anybody that I've had more than a 5-minute conversation with. I am a massive Jeff Gordon fan since I could talk, since I started watching NASCAR, and knowing that was going to be it for Jeff Gordon. You talk about a "where were you when" moment when you see your first favorite driver, knowing that that's going to be potentially their last win ever. You think about it, and you certainly savor moments like that, and the excitement in this now old man's face. You could see same excitement in his eyes at the end of 1995, winning that first title. Going back to 1994 and that tear-soaked victory lane, winning his first race, that Coke 600. And you think back to the history of legends like that, and you talk about a moment that you'll remember forever, a race that you'll remember forever. Martinsville 2016.
Matt Killer actually just said he's got Gordon's 05 Daytona diecast coming in the mail. Yeah, there you go. And there's the one and only Ben Romano checking into YouTube. Ben, good to see you. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us. I tell you, I think I'm gonna have to do this every single week, guys. I'm loving the participation, loving everybody that's coming out, the likes and the hearts and all that. This is again the first stream I've ever done from all 3 platforms for social media, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. Thanks guys. Definitely appreciate it.
Running along with Boehner, now sitting in the 4th position. He's behind Aviator and crossing the line. We now have 50, the big 5-0 laps remaining on the racetrack. They're looking ahead to Lucky Dog in the number 13 Geico Chevrolet, who finds himself almost 1.5 seconds behind CGMX Rose with 49 laps to go. I've been so impressed by this 42. 3 wins already, a 72-digit lead at the top of the points table, and he doesn't seem to be slowing down any time soon. A more Smoke, who finds himself second in points, is going to lose even more ground if this 42 continues to get away with what is just daylight robbery of wins on the racetrack. This race was dominated by the Aviator in car number 48, but now the 42, we mentioned at the top of the show, patience. Drivers that will bide their time and strike while the iron is hot. That iron was glowing white like the fresh concrete on the inside line at Martinsville. The 42 struck, and he is out like a bat out of hell, leading this race by almost 2 seconds. CGMX Rose watching the laps tick down a half mile at a time.
Yeah, I tell you what, Cape, the 42 CGMX Rose, he did not qualify well. I started off with the 95 of Jose that started on pole and worked my way all the way back. CGMX Rose must have started right dead center in the middle of this 27 car field and worked his way through. Ever since he picked up that Fanatec equipment, met up with the likes of Lucky Dog and a lot of other guys, it has really stepped up his game. Now, don't get me wrong. This guy had a phenomenal season last year. He was part of the top 4 for the championship, but the Aviator was able to walk on by with that. But it was still a phenomenal finish between a More Smoke, CGMX Rose, Boehner, and the Aviator. I think I'm not sure if I mentioned him twice or not, but yeah, that was a phenomenal race. And at one point they were 3 wide coming off of turn 3 and going into turn 4 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is predominantly a low-line track. Those guys were fighting tooth and nail, and in the end, the Aviator got it done. I think since he's decided to go back full-time here this season, even though he's away in school, that's really going to be he's going to challenge for the rest of this season, no doubt. The Aviator, or 42 CGMX Rose, better not relax too much.
Absolutely
There we go.
agree.
Boehner, More Smoke, Rose, and the Aviator. Those are our top 4. Thank you very much, Fry Dog.
Absolutely agree, Pete. I've watched CGMX Rose, and one of the top guys that's on this game. It's the level of competition here in this Cup Series is so tough, and to win as many races as he has so far this year, it's just really impressive. But my question to you two is, I don't know if the 48 made a bad adjustment, if the car's just not handling right, but his car is not the same as it was at the beginning of this race, the first 2 stages. He just cannot keep pace with the 42 and the 13.
Driver who can't keep pace right now is Lucky Dog 385, who's now falling 2 seconds behind the leader. Aviator still sticking with that 13. Boehner in 4th. Stout Whiskey rounding out the top 5 now with 39 laps remaining. Pace is important. You see the 41 of Dan the Lawn Man now exiting pit road, and this is going to be the money stop with about 30-ish laps to go. Will we see these drivers come down pit road? We haven't had a caution yet, so my math says they have to make a pit stop before the end of this race. And as always, the one place where a driver can lose it all is the speeding stripe coming into pit road.
Yeah, coming down to a very, very slow 35 mile an hour to hit that commitment line. Make sure that your time on pit road doesn't go from 15 to 16 seconds to well over 30 seconds. Can absolutely kill it, especially when these guys are turning laps in well under 30 seconds. These guys have been clipping them off one after one after one, and now with 36 laps remaining, I think you just said that, Rick, but yeah, it seems like it was just a minute ago we were talking 100 plus, but man, they're closing in on the end of this race.
That's just melting off of that leaderboard with these blistering hot speeds. The 48 of the Aviator trying to get just a bit closer, but Lucky Dog now starting to peel away and close the gap to CGMX Rose. Lucky Dog still finding himself a good 2.5 seconds behind that leader. Laps tick down, and we get closer to the big 3-0 now with 34 laps remaining, and battles all around this racetrack, but I'm still watching that 42, waiting for him to dive down pit road.
Yeah, Cape, I think it's going to be a little bit before that 42 comes down. He's seen that some people got bit when the caution came out, and as the race goes on, these cars are getting lighter and lighter. They're starting to lose just a little bit of grip coming off the corner. I've seen Coey in this 24 get loose a couple of times when exiting either 2 or 4, but was able to correct it without getting collected. So he's got 21 of Martinsville. In fact, here comes that 24 of Coey, not taking any more chances. I think he might have just misjudged where pit road was. He came down on the wrong side of the track, I think. Nope, he was just letting people go on by. True competitive spirit. He saw some of the faster cars coming. He knows that he's having some handling issues. Why not just let him go? He's already a lap or 2 or more down. There's no reason to hold up your competition.
Agreed, Pete. And this is probably one of the toughest pit roads to get on in the series because it's 30 miles an hour right when you hit the corner, and normally you want to run up the pit road as hard as you can, slam the brakes, and pretty much stand on them to get your car in and out as quickly as you can. But I would say Richmond and Dover probably have the toughest pit roads in NASCAR just to get on. And I think just as good as Rose's car is right now, he has the luxury of waiting and seeing what other cars do and seeing if a car hits that curb and spins itself out and brings out that yellow to his advantage.
Yeah, and Rick, that is something that Kate just hit on. If you're a car trying to remain on the lead lap and you see that leader coming fast, starting to breathe down your neck, you might be eager or willing to stop on that gas pedal a little bit sooner than your car is capable of handling, hence moving it around. So he's absolutely got a point right there.
Fantastic point. Now an 8-second gap between first and third place. A 3.8-second gap now between first and second. It's just uncanny the way Rose has torn away from this field, and there's a big lag spike out of turn 4. It looked like the 22 of J-Paw wrecked, but we remain under green flag conditions. Stops starting to cycle back around the 42, just minding his own business around this racetrack through lapped traffic, and it's been most of the action at the front of this race, you could say, with the top 5, but drivers like the 37 and the 53 have just been knocking each other left and right, and we mentioned the 18 car as well. There's been some good action at the back of this race.
Oh yeah, there's been great action all over the track, and again with 27 laps, wrapping around a half-mile track, you're gonna be able to see something everywhere. But one thing that's kind of interesting that I'm seeing right now is the 42 of CGMX Rose with the 95. Again, he was our pole sitter. The 95 of Jose 95 about to go a lap down. So again, 42 CGMX Rose, he started mid-pack. 95 started on the pole. What a way, not the way that the 95 wanted to see his race shape up. Kool-Aid, good to see you as well, sir.
Welcome to Kool-Aid and everybody else that caught that 30 to go Twitter post. Now as we're crossing the line, the laps continue to tick down at Martinsville. 23 and change remaining. The 42 of CGMX Rose leading, Lucky Dog in second, Boehner third, Aviator fourth, and Cheese rounding out your top 5. Pete, he needs to hang on for just over 20 more laps and he'll get his 4th win this year. 20 to go next time by. It's been wonderful watching this 42 run stage 3.
Yeah, 42 he's pretty much dominated. Once he got on by that 48 Ally Camaro that I'm riding along with right now, he has just flat set sail. We thought the 42 had a better long run car than the 48 at the end of stage 2, and it just went to show that he's had a pretty good car even from the beginning. So while the Aviator's still running very, very competitive, right now in P4 with Boehner running P3, Lucky Dog running P2, and Cheese now in that 10 car rounding out your top 5. I tell you, it's been a very, very good race. It's coming down to those closing laps. Master Killer called it a little bit ago. 25 to 30 was going to be the limit, but who pitted under that caution?
Who is yet to pit under these coming laps? 18 laps to go. Hopefully the 48 has enough to hang on. I'm sorry, not the 48, the 42 has enough to hang on. CGMX Rose behind that 53 car, who is genuinely all over the place right now. Mike Honcho in front of the 42, and you can see that CGMX Rose taking it a bit easy behind the uneasy 53.
Yeah, I think we got a little bit of lag from Mike, but my question is, I don't think the 42, the 13, or the 48 has pitted. So when do they make those pit stops?
It's a great question, Gabe.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I really don't know, because if some people pit under that caution, they should have been good to go to the end, right? At least I would think so. When Boehner pit or didn't pit under either the caution in stage number 1 or that last one several laps ago, I didn't catch how much fuel is left in the cell. So that is a very, very good question, and something that everybody's going to have to hang on for to find out what happens with the 42, what happened with the 36, the 13 of Lucky, the 4 of the Aviator, or that 10 car Cheese. We'll have to wait and see.
CGMX Rose still manhandling this race. He's gotten around that 18 car as well. So looking forward from the 42, he's now chasing down the 24 of Coe and the 22 of J-Paw. Now coming to a dozen laps remaining. He's got to have enough fuel. Otherwise, I don't think we'd be seeing him drive at such a quick pace. But the 42 of Rose still pulling away in grand style. Lucky Dog in the 2nd position. Are in 3rd, Aviator 4th, Cheese 5th, and it's 11 to go at the line.
Cheese has missed a few races due to work. What a welcome back for that young man driving that Smithfield Mustang. Pretty good job by him. When they were talking about people moving up into the Cup Series in the very, very beginning of the season, I mentioned a few people, and J-Paw was actually one of the first people, was one of the first series admins or series owners to mention the 10 of Cheese. So very, very good call by J-Paw, taking a lot of putting a lot of stock in one of his J-Paw militia drivers. Pretty good, as 42 of CGMX Rose goes on by the 22 of J-Paw. J-Paw pulled up in order to stay out of the 42's way, and yet he continues to cruise. No sign of that 48 anywhere in the rear view of the 42 for looking back for that 13, not the 48.
For 3rd, starting to heat up with Aviator, desperately trying to hold off Boehner for the final podium position. It's going to be 6 laps to go the next time the 42 crosses the line, and he's almost starting to catch up to 3rd and 4th respectively. Matter of fact, he can just now see them exiting turn 1. 6.5 laps to go. The Aviator just ahead of the 36 of Boehner, and Boehner is trying to turn the screw ever so tighter to get that last spot on the podium.
Yeah, riding along with the hood view of the 36 of Boehner right now. Behind him, you got the 2 cars, Stout Whiskey, 2.5 to 3 seconds back. Oh, 1 car bounced off the outside wall, came on back down. I don't know if it's going to be enough for a caution. It doesn't look like it. Boehner and everybody else out there on track, still riding the green flag. 6 laps remaining.
6 laps remaining now. I believe we're down to the last 5.5, and the entire racetrack holding their collective breath, trying to see if we're going to have a caution in the final 5 laps. But we stay green. 42 car of CGMX Rose crosses the line, and we now have what should be right around 4 laps to go. He could hang on with the fuel, it seems likely, but we could still have a yellow. We almost had a yellow there, Pete. We could still have a green-white checkered finish if a yellow comes out before the 42 crosses the line for the white flag. 3 to go.
Yep, 3 laps remaining. Still, riding along. I'm sorry, keeping an eye, rather, I should say, on the stream from the 36 of Boehner. It doesn't really look like he's having to, pedal it back or anything like that. Normally, when Boehner's got to save just a little bit of fuel, he'll throw that car down into neutral, getting into and halfway through the corners around here at Martinsville, and get back on it. But it doesn't look like he's really had to do that. So I imagine the people that are within that same top 5, the 14 GMX Rose, 13 of Lucky Dog, or the 48 of the Aviator, with Boehner, Stout Whiskey, and Cheese rounding out your top 6, that they are going to be good to go as well. Clicking off these laps still at a pretty fast pace. I would imagine that it's dropped down at least a couple seconds by now. As Boehner comes across the start stripe, we have 1 lap remaining. So this is the final lap for this 42 Credit One machine. And actually, no, he's already so far ahead of Boehner. That was the final lap for that 42 Credit One machine. Yeah, hell of a job by CGMX Rose.
Wonderful job there by Rose. Big credit to the driver of the 48 Aviator, who's going to hang on for 3rd place. It's going to be Rose, Lucky Dog, Aviator, your top 3. Boehner in 4th, and a wonderful drive all around from Lucky Dog, muscling his way to the front early on. A great passive drive by Aviator in stages 1 and 2 to get those wins, but in stage 3, it was the Rose show once again. He picks up his 4th win this year.
Not too shabby, I tell you. The only other guy that's been able to get up there and compete with wins like that was the 9 of Amore Smoke. Amore not up inside the top 5 this time, but still very much in competition, right as well as the others in the top 5, top 6 even. Cheese was pretty good all race long. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick second to allow these guys to complete their cool down lap, make their way up to the booth. We will be right back. All right, ladies and gents out there, thank you very much again for hanging out and keeping it right here. Definitely appreciate you. We got our top 3 in the booth. Aviator, the 13 of Lucky Dog, and, of course, our winner for tonight, CGMX Rose. Cape, go ahead and start us off with P3, please.
All right, coming in P3 tonight is the Aviator 1024. Aviator, heck of a race, bud. You dominated the first 2 stages. Talk to me a little bit about what happened in the 3rd stage. It just looks like your car fell off. Maybe you hit a bad adjustment. Just kind of give us an insight on what you were thinking.
Well, I mean, I'd love to blame it on the car, but there's a reason these 2 are, in my opinion, the top 2 in the Pro League, and I am not. So I kind of showed there. I just couldn't handle what the car was giving me and kind of fell off on my own, but I'm glad I finished in the top 3 regardless.
Yeah, but again, just heck of a run. I noticed earlier on in the race you were kind of shooting in the corner low and kind of diamonding out, and then you kind of started just veering that corner out a little higher. Was the car pretty comfortable all night? Did you have to change your line much, or?
Oh, the car was awful. Going through that whole race, I was just doing a million different things, trying to see what the car wanted to do. The best point was definitely towards the end of stage one, where I was running my best times. Definitely kept the biggest gap, but the car just kept changing for some reason. I kept changing how I drove for whatever reason, and it just didn't work out how I wanted.
All right, man. Well, like I said, heck of a run tonight. Looking forward to seeing you next week, and on to you, Pete.
Real quick, Aviator, I'm sure it's been a pretty good week of practice, a lot of things going on. Any shout-outs for you, buddy?
Of course, shout out to Dan and Lewis. These guys, they're my goal to be that fast. I'm happy to be racing them. A good push.
Well, there you go, man. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
You got it. And then, Mr. 13, the luckiest of lucky dogs. Man, Lucky, you had a really good car. I kind of let it be known that before the race started, I kind of hung out with you and a couple of guys in a party, and you said it felt like you were driving a brick around this half-mile paperclip, but yet there you were on the outside pole and not too shabby all race long. What changed between that practice and the time that the race went green?
Well, thank you, Pete. Yeah, I was just really discouraged, a little demoralized, I think, because I wasn't really performing to my expectations at the start. And I was just like, man, what am I doing wrong? Like, I was trying preset run. I tried even preset 4 or 5 even, and it just really wasn't working for me. And then I made not a setup adjustment, but made another adjustment elsewhere. And I was just able to really hold a pretty wheel, and I was able to save the right front tire, because before I was burning about 20% more right front 20 laps into a run than everyone else. So that's 20% in that first 20 laps is just insane. And I just knew that was where all my time was lost. And then I made an adjustment and it saved it. And albeit it didn't make me loads better, actually it didn't make me way better, but I think it just, maybe if I could have gone down a bit with the adjustment I was making, I think it could have maybe a bit faster, a bit more controllable, because I was still really tight center. I was just, the brick aspect was still kind of there. I was still pretty tight in the center, and tried everything I could to change my driving style. But I think, honestly, I'm to be even in this booth here with the interview is just, I did not anticipate it, because I was just really, I was disappointed in myself. I wasn't picking it up as fast as I wanted it to, and figured it all out in the end. Didn't really stress myself out too much, and then qualified second and finished second, and got some really good stage points. So overall, I'm really happy. Just a really great day. Not as fast as Rose. Good job to him, and that was no surprise. And shout out to Aviator as well. And I think if I can continue to do it, maybe the adjustment there, I maybe could have gotten a little bit better. But there's a lot that I have to learn on presets. Obviously, not as experienced on there, but yeah. I lost my train of thought there, but yeah, I'm just really, really happy. Man, top 3s in the past 3 races in NNR, and I never could have anticipated that. So it's really making me feel a lot better about myself, and just I'm really happy to be racing at the top here in the one of the most prestigious leagues in racing, and I'm just really, really, I'm tickled.
Well, man, you definitely very, very deserved. Whatever adjustment that was that you were able to make outside of wedge, tire pressure, or tape, I'm going to guess is right along there with that Fanatec equipment that you and the rest of the Pro League drivers received during the season 2 of that series. Buddy, congratulations. Definitely very, very great job. I'm not even going to say good. Any shout-outs from you, brother?
Yeah, sorry. I'm a very vocal person. I like talking about after the race, so that took too long. My bad. But yes, absolutely. I would like to thank you, Repeat, for doing all the broadcasts and streams, and for doing the commentary with me on Tuesday, even though you make me look really bad. No, I'm just kidding. I really do enjoy commentating with you on Tuesday. Sorry, can't get the days right. Rick James, obviously, he does a great job. Got to say a big thank you to, I think Cape must have been commentating. So thank you, Cape, for all that you do in NNR especially. and everybody who's been supportive of me throughout the whole pro league career, league racing, my mom, my dad, all my family. I mean, everybody's been a part of this whole situation. Really, really happy with the result. I mean, it wasn't first, and really definitely think I can improve on this race and just keep getting better. But hey, that's the fun in it. So just really excited, looking forward to Kansas. Not my best track, but hopefully get a solid result there. And yeah, thank you, Pete. And yeah, back to you, Pete. Yeah,
Very welcome. Thank you, buddy. And then the one and only Rick James, he's gonna bring it on over to that other guy. I tell you, that 42 of CGMX Rose, hashtag Young Gun, hashtag Grow with Rose. Rick James, take it away.
Thank you, Pete. In the number 42 Credit One Bank Chevrolet, taking the top spot on the podium and all the candy to himself. Rosie, you've got your 4th win of the season. Congratulations.
Yep, thank you. I just want to say one thing. I'm glad I made this race because I'm not gonna lie, I took a nap and I overslept and I woke up at 8:30 and thought I was gonna miss it, but luckily I was able to get in. Even though I had to start at the back, car was good enough to be able to make it all the way up through the field, and once I got up front, I was able to keep it there.
Kept it there all throughout the 3rd stage despite a beautiful drive from the 48 of Aviator and Lucky Dog doing what he does best, leading the race. But now your 72-point lead increases over a more smoke. We'll see the numbers when the table gets updated. You're now tied with most wins this season, you and Amor, with 4 wins each. Where do we go from here?
We go get more wins. Never stop, never settle. Just keep going.
I love that attitude, Rosie. It's a pleasure just watching you tear away from the rest of the field and really make a name of your own. Is there a ceiling to this, or is it just your head to the grindstone and continue to work every week?
Head to the grindstone. There's always a way to get better. Even at the little things, that's what makes you great, and that's what separates you from others, just being good at the little things. So there's always progress to be made. You're never perfect.
Absolutely. Well said. How about some shout-outs for any fans in the Rose Garden?
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the party, everybody in the race for keeping it pretty clean for the most part. Shout out to you guys in the booth and Koei and everybody who runs this.
Absolutely. Big shout out to everybody as well. Shout out to More Than a Cape. Obviously, Repeat. Thank you for having us, my friend. Pete, what a race, man. What a drive.
Not bad at all, and I tell you what, just the second short track race of the season, 27 cars out here on track. The first time the stream was carried on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook simultaneously. What a better way to do it than under the lights at this tiny track of Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. I couldn't have asked for a better turnout. Better way to wrap up the week. So as you just heard, next week is Kansas, that big old highline track in the sky that we're all gonna visit. But don't forget, this Saturday, turn down for what will be live. Sunday, the Shadow Racing League will be back as well. Tuesday, these NNR drivers are going to be right back, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time for the trucks. Wednesday for Xfinity, and then Cup guys right back 1 week from tonight. After that, we go to another road course, and then we're off for Christmas and New Year. So everybody's going to get a little bit of a break from everybody else. Come back all fresh in the new year and ready to tackle it. See if anybody's going to be able to steal some of these wins away from the 42 of CGMX Rose. But Cape and Rick James, man, phenomenal race. Great job calling it with you. Great job by you, I should say. You guys continue to impress. Time after time, race after race. I'm very, very grateful that both of y'all were here with me. Word Burton, sorry you couldn't be here tonight. I know you had something else that you had to do with an actual hockey game. Hopefully that turned out well for you. But until we can all get together again, please, guys, stay safe, stay healthy. As I said before, wear your mask, stay away from the big crowds. Do what you have to do for the holidays. We get that. But don't forget, there's a bigger picture. We all want to get back together at a track near you like NNR is kind of accustomed to. Hopefully we can all meet up at Daytona or somewhere else after that. Until then, I will see y'all somewhere.